Got a good replay from Superb Fairy Wren and Anti-Kaiju. We got some fun units here. Got some fun units. Aekold is divisive in the community, but we don't see him much, so I'll still cast games in him if they're good and close, but not everybody loves a melee foot hero. But even if you're not into a melee foot hero, we do have two chosen with great weapons, not in a blob. We have Belakor, who I very rarely see outside of the Skaven matchup. And then on the other side, we have a Skullcracker. Don't see a ton of that specific unit. And Deathstreak rock launchers are always kind of fun. So let's get into what we got for the builds here. What do we got? Marauders with great weapons and regular Marauders. Two chosen with great weapons for Chaos. Do have two Marauder Horsemen throwing axes. Belakor with Pit of Shades is his only spell, but does have Shadow Shroud and Dark Master as his debuffs. Aekold Hellbrass, just butt naked. I mean, he has his Breath of Life, but you can't take that off if you want to. On the other side, we have a Sorcerer Prophet of Hashut with only Flames of Asgore. Okay, interesting. More spice, more spice. Deathstreak Rock Launcher, a basic Skullcracker, as we said. Two Infernal Guard with Fire Glaives with the Blazing Beards of Basrak Dwarf Warriors on the front line, plus a bunch of other regular Dwarf Warriors. Then Orc and Goblin Laborers are on the back line. Just to help out a little bit, I suppose. I mean, they'll crumble in a stiff breeze, but sure. For now, the rocket launcher is getting what value out it can. And Belakor is doing a little bit of trolling with his Shadow Shroud for 60% ward save, and then he already has the 20% physical resistance and 25% missile resistance. The Fire Glaives really don't threaten him that much until the Shadow Shroud wears off. The Fire Glaives could be aiming at the Marauder Horsemen throwing axes if they are in range. Marauders took a bunch of damage from the Blazing Beards. See how that goes for them, as the Infernal Guard are indeed trying to tee off onto Belakor. There is no net to keep him in place, luckily for him, but he'll still take a bit of a chunk and want to watch out, and that was a nasty volley from the Deathstreak Rock Launcher as two units got clumped up on each other. Little Pit of Shades poked down the Infernal Guard, and Skullcracker is retreating back to its own lines after it did a little bit of trolling out there. Now, Chosen are going to get hit with the Flames of Asgore. I didn't notice this was the spell that was taken when I watched this replay on ×3 speed. Decent little chunk there. I still don't think that makes it a good spell, but a decent usage of a not-so-good spell right there. Marauder's going to get through Orc Laborers pretty quickly. Chosen are currently getting bulldozed by the Skullcracker. And actually, Skullcracker could do okay versus these guys. Pretty good weapon strength, a lot of it armor piercing, good bonus versus infantry, like all that stuff. The Infernal Guard still trying to pepper down Belakor, who is healing a little bit from the nearby routing stuff. Those Orc Laborers and Chaos Dwarf Warriors feeding him a little bit. Marauders of Great Weapons getting pushed off very soon by the Sorcerer Prophet, though the Sorcerer Prophet has to avoid Aekold. Make sure not to fight that guy. Despite being on a big spooky beastie, Sorcerer Prophets are decent melee combatants. They aren't amazing, so they won't want prolonged combat with Aekold or Belakor or anything like that. Skullcracker's still trolling around, trying to get some damage done here and there. Chosen with Great Weapons, both of them about half HP for now. And another scatter shot from the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher hits the Marauder Horseman. It's just been poking them down slowly but surely. On the backfield, Marauders getting through those Goblin Laborers we talked about, causing more things to rout that could feed Bellacor's healing if he happens to be in the neighborhood. That means, moreover, these Infernal Guard with Fire Glaives are just on very limited time. Looks like both of them are trying to get shots off onto Belakor now, who is currently diving the Deathstreaker Rock Launcher. That's a bad place for him to be. The Deathstreaker does not protect him much. It's just a small model. So he does pop his Shadow Shroud and gets away from there, realizing it's a losing scenario for him to be in. Things getting a bit spicy. Chaos Dwarves are up on the balance of power by a bit, but I'm not convinced. A lot of this infantry is useless. Goblin Laborers and Orc Laborers are just non-units, in my opinion. So really, we're just watching these Infernal Guard and the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher, which, if Aekold has his way, and he's going to beat the shit out of that thing, and the balance of power should get a lot better for the Forces of Chaos. Also, if Belakor can get an overcasted Pit of Shades onto the Infernal Guard, that'll be pretty juicy. But a Flames of Asgore right into the middle of these two Marauders as a Pit of Shades is hitting the Infernal Guard with Fire Glaives, and that is a lot of spell-based murder, all in the blink of an eye, but there goes the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher, there goes an Infernal Guard with fire, the Fire Glaives. You know what ones I'm talking about. The pointy, shooty shotguns. Bounce power is still pretty bad for the Warriors of Chaos, but it will get better. Destruct Rocket Launcher actually shatters. The Infernal Guard are going to rout. The other Infernal Guard will also rout, and that'll quickly leave us with just a full health Sorcerer Prophet as really the only thing of value on the map. Oh yeah, there's a Skullcracker! Oh yeah, you exist. How are you doing, buddy? I forgot about you. Look at you go. You look super cool. My super cool looking big spooky friend. Aekold and the Marauders are chasing off these Infernal Guard while Belakor tries and routes the last one. Now that they're routing, they will heal him up a little bit. Sorcerer Prophet taking the fight. Now, Belakor is a way better melee combatant. This is true, but he's so low that the Sorcerer Prophet is hoping to get some nice shots in onto him and finish him off for good. Dark Master lowering his melee attack down to a pathetic 16. Unfortunately, will not help him very much. And the Skullcracker is continuing to run around and be a nuisance. I thought I saw it rout off the Chosen earlier. I think they're behind my screen right now. I don't know where the second Chosen is. They were not looking so hot last time I saw them. Aekold and Belakor teaming up to take out the Sorcerer Prophet of Hashid, who is not backed away from this fight. And he hasn't hit Belakor in quite a while due to the Dark Master lowering his stats so much. For sure. Okay, here are both Chosen. They were in the same spot. So one Chosen is 8 models, the other is 27. Not feeling too good. As the Skullcracker is still half HP, the Sorcerer Prophet is half HP, and he's back up into the sky. For the Chaos Dwarves, the only thing they really care about rallying at this point is trying to get the last remnants of these Infernal Guard with Fire Glaives back. They just want those guys to return home. Chaos Dwarf Warriors are fine. Goblin Labors are fine. That's a nasty Pit of Shades target if Belakor has it off cooldown. There are 3 infantry units all sharing the same space. Looks like it's either not off cooldown or he doesn't notice it. Also, if he casts Pit of Shades, he will be healing up the Sorcerer Prophet of Hashid, who chucks out a Fire Breath, but Belakor immediately dodges it with professional efficiency. Chosen with great weapons, getting a rear charge on the Chaos Dwarf Warriors. That should lead to tons and tons of damage. They're jacked stats and getting a free charge. Marauder Horseman throwing axes. I haven't checked on you guys in a bit since you were getting hit with rocket launchers in the face. One of you is barely clinging to life on the left-hand side of my screen. The other one is actually pretty healthy here, but they've now charged directly into Chaos Dwarf Warriors. They're going to have to back off. They were trying to chase the Sorcerer Prophet. They didn't mean to take that fight. Chosen do get terror-outed as a big giant bull lands on them and a Skullcracker. Cracker. You know what? That's official now. It's a Skullcracker. Cracker. Skullcracker. Charges in on the side. Big Pit of Shades hits a Goblin Laborer and a Chaos Dwarf Warrior. And then Belakor also just routes off a Goblin Laborer. He is slowly regenerating back up as he is near the Fearful. Chaos Dwarves have still maintained a pretty strong presence. They have a lot of chaff infantry left. Half health Skull Crusher. I keep doing that. Skullcracker. The Sorcerer Prophet dives back in, but the Dark Master debuff is really brutal on him. He probably has to back off and just leave the Skullcracker to fight, since he is never going to hit with the Dark Master on him. But he does take a side charge from Aekold. He needs to back off here. And the Skullcracker is having a hard time really making contact with Belakor. It's getting some hits in, but with the Dark Master procced, he was super resistant. Now he's less resistant. And the Sorcerer Prophet is trying to get away, trying to leave the Skullcracker to finish this fight as he gets back into the sky. More Marauders are routed off. For Chaos, they only really have this Marauder and this Marauder Horseman. Everything else is so injured it can't provide any aid whatsoever. Skullcracker's trying to fight Aekold. That could be a tough task. Even with all of its bonus versus infantry, it doesn't seem to know how to interact with him. That or doesn't have attack orders, but it isn't turning around just yet. It is taking free attacks in the back from Aekold. And up in the sky, the Sorcerer Prophet is stuck fighting Belakor. Their health points are a lot more similar. We know the Dark Master is down. We know the Shadow Shroud is down, so he has no buffs left. But even without him, he's still a 70-55 melee combatant versus 56-40. He is taking a shot every once in a while. Can the Sorcerer Prophet finish him off? We will see, but the balance of power is getting a little bit worse here for the forces of the Chaos Dwarf. The Skullcracker is still facing the wrong way. I think it either doesn't have attack orders or it needs new ones. It needs to walk out and walk back in, but it's currently facing backwards, which is not helping it at all. Belakor is down to 1,000 HP, but the Sorcerer Prophet of Hashid is down to 1,500. He decides to land in his Chaos Dwarves for a little bit of support, but the Belakor is going to charge right after him. Gets a big hit in. That'll probably rout our friend, the Sorcerer Prophet. More stuff is getting away from Belakor, routing off. And one final Flames of Asgore is getting cast in the Marauder Horseman. But a Pit of Shades counter is just a little bit easier to hit. Army Losses is going to take the Chaos Dwarves out in just a second here. Unless this Skullcracker can kill Aekold by its lonesome, I think we're going to have a tough time. It is going to get a rear charge onto Belakor. Looks like it misses that attack. It's hard to tell because it doesn't really have an animation for attacking, but it is not hitting. It does lose. I feel like the Skullcracker is underwhelming compared to the Iron Demon. Yeah, it didn't get much value. Even though I feel like Kaiju put it in a lot of winning situations, it just didn't perform. For the Sides of Chaos, superb fairy run, getting Belakor to pay for himself. Again, that's a rare sight besides versus Skaven. 3,900 value for him. Chosen Grey Opens did all right. Aekold actually did pretty great. Marauder Horse and Throwing Axes did fine. And then basic Marauders mostly got destroyed by the Chaos Dwarves. Except for that guy. That guy had a great day. For Kaiju, Sorcerer Prophet of Hashid, even with the Noth meta spell, still getting 2,100 value, which is pretty nice. Skullcracker did okay. Chaos Dwarves did very well. Infernal Guard with our Fireglaves did very well. Deathstreaker did okay. It didn't have a lot of great targets, to be fair. And then the Laborers did alright. GG. Roar!
Subscribe, yes, yes.